Hey there. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Jennifer Holmes. I'm Dean of the School of Economic, Political, and Policy Sciences at UT Dallas. And we're going to give you a little bit of an overview of the school today and answer any questions you might have. So joining me today, of course, I have Dr. Carol Cerulli Lanham. She's my Assistant Dean of Outreach and Engagement. Richard Scotch may join us. He's the brainchild behind our new public health degree, which we're very excited about. And we have a colleague of ours from admissions. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about EPPS. So EPPS really it's a small school in a big university, and we're very proud of it because you have all the resources that you would need at a big university that you would have at a big university, over 100,000 alumni network, very big, lots of things to take advantage of and activities, but you get the best of a small school, a small liberal arts college within a big university. So you get the contact with the dean, with your faculty, and with your fellow students. So it's a much more intimate experience in a large university setting. And we have all the main degrees you'd ever expect out of a social and policy sciences school, like political science, criminology, economics, GIS. We also have some really interesting ones like international political economy, which is you take all the international aspects in all our degrees with some economics. And it's really been designed to get people in international business or into the foreign service. We also have sociology, public policy. Public policy is fun. It also requires a minor. We have public affairs, political science, and our new public health degree. And I'll tell you a little bit about the public health. So it's looking at things from a more social aspect. So kind of how your neighborhood or family or personal circumstances will impact your health. We're very excited about this. We're working closely with UT Southwestern. And by the time students start here, by the time they're a third year in the program, we really anticipate that we're going to have fast track programs where they can go to either UT Southwestern or UT Health in Houston, or even in Fort Worth. So we're working very hard to build those bridges for students, even though we don't have a master's degree in public health, but we work very closely with UT Southwestern. And now we'll talk about life on campus.
So I'll take over from here. As Dean Holmes mentioned, I am the Assistant Dean of Outreach and Engagement, and I came here to UTD in 2005 when it looked a lot different than it does today. Take a look at those numbers, 83 buildings in 2007, 159 today. And Dean Holmes, I heard that they're going to start the demolition on the building next door tomorrow as we
Tomorrow
speak.
at 8 a.m. So progress continues. So it'll be very exciting.
So we're in one of the original buildings, Green Hall, here on campus, but right next door, we're going to have the Student Success Center with all kinds of opportunities for students to study and play and hang out. It's going to be the new student union as well. And so honestly, the campus has been transformed. And at a time when some other universities have to cut back, we are lucky enough to be growing and growing fast. And here you see all the different opportunities that students have here at UT Dallas, over 400 campus organizations. And, we're a relatively young university, just a little over 50 years old. And what I see is that if students want to join an organization and aren't finding what they want, although over 400, there's a lot there, but there's the opportunity to also start new student organizations. So, for example, I am the faculty advisor for a couple of organizations that didn't exist until my students decided that we needed to have a UT Dallas chapter. And as you can see, students are involved in all kinds of different opportunities like community service. It's a very bike-friendly campus. We see people on skateboards. It's a very vibrant campus. And back in those days when I came in 2005, there was a lot of concrete and it was frankly not very pretty, but now we have landscaping and just many, many vibrant opportunities to hang out and engage. We've also had an exciting development this past year. We started the transition from Division III sports to Division II. So as you see here, we're going to be joining the Lone Star Conference. So that's a bit of a process, right, to make that transition. But with over 31,000 students, we were one of the biggest universities in Division II. So it was, in Division III. So it was time to really make that transition to the next division. And we also are making some upgrades to our sports facilities. So the track and field is being upgraded. We're making upgrades to our baseball fields and to our soccer fields. So our teams have performed very well in Division III, and it's going to get even more competitive and exciting once we're fully in Division II. And often I've heard people say, wow, you work at UT Dallas, like, I know there's a university there, but I don't know that much about it. So even though we're right in the middle of North Dallas, in the middle of the neighborhoods, people have not kept up with our growth. Well, that's about to change when we have this new Athenaeum on campus. If you've been to campus lately, you've seen it there by the business school. We broke ground in May of 2022, and it's really making a lot of progress in terms of the construction. And as you see here on the slide, we're going to have the second location of the Crow Museum of Asian Art. We'll be able to host exhibits for the Dallas Museum of Art. And I'll actually have like study spaces and a conservation lab. But as you see, that's not all. We're going to have a phase 2 and a phase 3 with a lot more coming. But this will enable us to really be a community gathering place on a more regular basis, because of course we host events and people come for all sorts of reasons, but now it will really be a place for the community to gather. So that's super exciting.
Oh, while we're moving along, I'll tell you, one of the most fun events I got to do just recently was do a hard hat tour of that Athenaeum building. And we're going to have outdoor space with shade, and there is a classroom in there as well. I mean, how cool to take class in a business, in a museum. And it was designed by the same person who designed the Perot Museum downtown. So it's really quite neat. Okay, so now I got to talk about dorms. I will tell you, UT Dallas has some of the best dorms in the business. Our dorms where all students, if you live on campus, you live there. They're all private bedrooms, but like a triple and then a shared bathroom, but separated out. It is very nice. There's still communal spaces there, study lounges in there, utilities are included. There's a shuttle service and more. It's a very comfortable dorm setup. It's the best of privacy and communal living at one. And I can tell you, it's a much improved experience from when I was an undergrad years ago. So we're really proud of our dorms. Very, very good experiences. We also have just across the street at Northside, we have some other apartments. Those are not for freshmen, so freshmen can't live there right away, but you certainly can get there later in your career. Northside's really great. It's got a lot of restaurants there. It's really got a coffee shop. It's got everything you need. And very soon it will have a Dart stop. So we expect a lot of growth there at Northside. And I think for students, for people who are starting as freshmen, you can live on campus in the dorms and maybe progress to Northside, but maybe by the end of your time at UTD, you might want to stay a little farther away along the Dart. This is going to open up a lot more opportunities for students. Right now, we have a bus line that people can live along as well. But the DART's going to make it a lot easier, and it's just going to increase mobility for our students across campus, across the Metroplex. I mean, Texas still is kind of a car town, but this is really going to increase mobility for so many of our students who don't want to be driving all the time, especially at traffic like I do. But we're very excited about that DART. We, of course, also have a lot of events, and this is something where we take a lot of pride in doing these events, whether it's tacos with the deans. We had a musical storytelling event, which you think, why would EPPS host a music event? Well, because it was about freedom of speech. It was about a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court. It was about identity. It was a really great story and a fun night. It was a fantastic performance. We've had the concert truck with musicians from the Dallas Symphony and some traveling musicians. And then, of course, we just have a lot of mixers. Occasionally, I will go to the cafeterias in the dorms with some associate deans to have lunch with students, because we like to see how things are going. And of course, we'll hand out cookies during exam times and just little pick-me-ups to help students get through the semester. So we have a lot of fun with our events. Well, I think it's time for us to probably pause and take some questions.
Yeah, and we invite you to put any questions that you have in the chat. We will answer them as you will have several opportunities throughout the presentation for you to get your questions answered. And Dean Holmes, I see one that is related to, you were talking about the residence halls, and they're asking if they're required to live in the residence halls as freshmen. And it's my understanding that, of course, they can live at home, but if they're going to live on campus, we have quite a few apartments on campus, and the freshmen are required to live in the residence halls if they live on campus. But you're more than welcome to take an extra year at home and save on some of those expenses. So you are not required to, but it is the option for freshmen who do decide to live on campus. We also have a question that I think you can take, Dean Holmes, about
Sure.
planning to go to law school. So a lot of our students are on the pre-law track, and they're asking about a pre-law major. So can you speak to that?
Oh, sure. We don't have a pre-law major per se. What we do have are a lot of majors that tend to be pre-law, right? So political science is the classic one, but you can also major in, really anything. I tell students you can be a crim major, a PA major, an econ major. You can be almost any of ours, international political economy. The important thing is to do well in your classes, so to major in what you find interesting so you can get that GPA that helps you get into law school. Now, we do have a phenomenal pre-law program that has a lot of extra help, has LSAT prep and all the types of guidance to help you target the right schools and have a lot of success. Our students get into top law schools every year. And it's not like it's just one kid going to Harvard every so often. Every year we have students go to Harvard. Every year we have students going to Chicago. Every year we have students going to Stanford. So it's very strong placement record. We have a lot of very good specialized advising for our pre-law students.
In fact, I have some news right off the press today. I met with our commencement speaker who is headed to Harvard Law, and I was asking her, did others get in? And she said, well, there was another student in EPPS who did get into Harvard Law, but chose to go for a full ride at UVA Law School. So those are not bad choices to have. We're getting a couple of questions about our majors, and I think this one is right up your alley because it's, a student is asking, I've never heard of international political economy. Could you tell me more about it? And that was your project back when you were a program head.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, what started is we are talking to foreign service officers and saying, what is the best preparation for students to maximize their success at joining the foreign service? And they said it's a career track. And if you go into the management track, you have a higher chance of success, because most people who go to foreign service, they're maybe history majors, or they have more traditional diplomatic interests. But if you go management track, you'll have an edge. And so that's why we created international political economy. What's so great about that is you have just enough of the economics to qualify for the management track. And it's also just enough economics to go into international business, but it also has all the breadth and the area studies and specialization that you'll need to go into other areas where those softer skills are very important. So we have kind of two versions of it. We have the BA version, which has less economics and more area studies. And we have the BS that has more econ, or sorry, the BA has more area electives. The BS has less because you have more economics, but you get the idea. So some people who don't want to really go heavy into econ go into the BA and IPE. It's also designed, and Dr. Lanham will talk about this later, to be 100% efficient for students who do a traditional full year study abroad. Because with those area electives, we can transfer in very easily the kind of unique classes that students might take in a study abroad. I'll give you one concrete example. I had a student go and took a class on Balinese folk dance. And we can actually count that as an area elective in IPE. So that's one of the things we really built into it, is the flexibility so that students go study abroad. They don't have to worry about whether or not these classes are going to transfer.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning that we now have a diplomat in residence, and that is very exciting because that's someone from the State Department who hosts regular events here, and students have the opportunity to meet with him one-on-one. This past week, we had the Fulbright representatives here, so many opportunities for international engagement and study abroad, which, as Dean Holmes said, I'll be talking about in just a little bit. But shall we move on and get to some more questions a little bit later in the presentation?
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll get some more questions. All right. Well, next, I do have to brag about our faculty. So we have quite a few award-winning teachers in EPPS, and this is something that we feel very strongly about. It's a personal commitment that I have in leadership and that my colleagues share, that we want to couple top researchers with people who can really teach and connect with students. So there's a top award in the state of Texas for UT system. It's called the Regents Outstanding Teaching Award winner. We have 5 of them on the faculty. That's an outstandingly high proportion of ROTA winners for the university, considering we're a small school. I'm a winner. Dr. Lanham's a winner. My other associate dean is a winner. And we have Dan Arce, who is our program head in economics, and Clint Pinehart. On top of it, we have Dr. Lanham has an even higher a higher teaching award within systems. So the help me out.
The UT System Academy of Distinguished Teachers. And I'll just say that being a graduate of this university and an undergrad UT Austin, what an honor to be part of this UT System Academy. It's really a dream come true, but as you see here, Dean Holmes also right there at the top of the list with these awards. So we're very dedicated to our teaching.
Yeah, and Dr. Boots also has a Piper professorship, which is another very high state level award. So we're very proud of our colleagues. We take it very seriously. And, I will tell you, to the parents listening to this, I attend every single job talk for every single potential faculty member, because we have to keep that level of excellence. If we don't connect with students, we're not doing our job. And that is our priority, of course, coupled with good research expertise and other experiences, so students get the full package. And then we have some other award winners as well, some President's Teaching Awards. Those are just below the ROTA with some colleagues, another associate dean of mine and another colleague in P&M. So we're very proud of all our award winners. And in fact, that's just the teaching ones. We have many faculty are hitting their stride with research. I mean, Dr. Maxwell, who's going to be a leading participant in our public health degree and also in public policy. She's doing a lot of work on tick-borne disease, getting research grants and publishing very interesting research on that. Alex Burton is a new criminology faculty member. He's in a partnership with New York Department of Corrections, working with them to increase their training and to increase professionalization among their correction staff, something that's very important. Ted Benavides, I can't even tell you how many awards this man has been winning. It seems every year he wins a couple more. Lots of lifetime distinguished service awards for him. He's a former city manager of Dallas, and I can tell you, of all my faculty, and we all care about our students, but he probably does more than anyone else to place students when they are ready to graduate. He's got so many contacts and really knows how to prepare students for the next step. And I'll tell you, even personally, my son who's 23, I had him go talk to Ted. Like, you need to talk to Ted because he has some connections. He can help you out. He can make sure you're talking about your career path the right way. Ted is just an absolute gem for us. Well, let's see if there are any more questions that have popped up.
Yeah, so wait, this event is for the admitted freshmen. So naturally they have some questions about signing up for classes in the fall, and I can speak to that. You've probably already heard from me if you've accepted your admission. I'm urging you to go ahead and sign up for freshman orientation. Registration is open for our June sessions. And if you know that you're going to be outside of the area, that you live in another state, we will work with you to get you to an online orientation. And that's where you sign up for your classes for fall of 2024. So it's really important to register for orientation because that's when you'll learn more about your majors, meet with your academic advisor, and really get acclimated and prepared for fall. I see a question about what are the most popular majors in our school? And I would have to say, and then I invite you to tell them more, Dean Holmes, but certainly this new Bachelor of Arts in Public Health is so popular. So many of our incoming freshmen have chosen that as their major. And I teach in sociology, and it's part of our program, right, in sociology. And I already have students in my classes who are majoring in that public health degree because some of them are planning to go to law school, some of them are planning to work in community health, and goodness knows with all the needs that came out from the pandemic and other challenges that we've faced recently, it's a very sought after skill to know about public health. Do you want to talk about that a little bit more?
Absolutely. I mean, public health is becoming very, very popular. No doubt about that. The traditional top 3 degrees for our majors are economics, political science, and criminology. Those have historically been our most popular. But, as we innovate, things can change. We also anticipate a sustainability policy degree that will be hopefully approved next year. I'm just working on the last bits of that. It's very collaborative with some other schools on campus. So we continue to work towards offering other interdisciplinary degrees, and we should be having a cybersecurity policy and technology undergraduate degree here shortly too. That'll also be with some of the other schools on campus. So we're very flexible, we're very collaborative, and we are definitely interdisciplinary.
Yeah, and speaking of that master's degree that we currently have, one of the things that we should mention is the fast track program that some of you who may be coming in with a lot of credit, some of you even dual degree. By the time you are a senior, you could be taking graduate classes and working towards your master's degree. So you'll learn more about that at orientation. But just like you were able to take college classes in high school, you'll be able to take graduate classes once you get here, and that saves your parents a lot of money, which is going to make them happy if you can start working towards your master's degree while you're still an undergraduate. So you'll be learning a lot more about that in the months ahead.
And I'll just say before we move on from that point, it really is the best thing in the world to do, even if you don't want to get a master's degree, because you can show that you're capable of doing that level of work. So if you're applying for a job or you want to go on to a different graduate program, you can say, hey, I've already been successful at this level. So it really is a wonderful opportunity for students. And time flies. You'll be talking to your advisor about that shortly.
Time does fly. And I think the next slide is mine talking about just the different opportunities that are going to be out there. Because, yeah, before you know it, graduation will be here and everyone will be asking you, what are you going to do next? So one of the things we do from the very beginning with our freshmen is we have you take a freshman seminar where, among other things, we help you get a resume prepared, figure out how to get a LinkedIn account, and really encourage you to attend some of these career fairs. 590 companies participated in the career fair over the last year. We have different career fairs throughout the year. Some are focused on, for example, government jobs, others are more broad. But the point is, the employers come to our campus, you have a chance to talk with them, show them your resume, and we want you to be prepared for those opportunities. We also will work with you to get internships. We are working hard to find more funded internships where you are paid and possibly getting credit at the same time. So we have a track where you can get course credit for the work that you do for a company or a nonprofit or the government. And of course, we have students go into all three sectors. So lots of ways that we prepare you for the job market, because it does come so fast.
It sure does.
And here you see some of the events that we host, and a couple of these are directly related to jobs. So Pathways to Employment, we introduced that during the pandemic and we were virtual, and it was a way for us to engage with our students when everybody was remote. But now we're bringing in employment experts and industry leaders on a regular basis, along with, we have a lot of other programs that you see here where, for example, a newsletter where you can keep up with everything that's going on. We have a student blog. We have a lot going on, but I think one of the things to really consider is how you can get involved in these events that connect you with our alumni and with your future employers. And the next slide should speak to what some of the things we've been doing just in the last month. Yeah, so here you see Dean Holmes had mentioned that criminology is one of our more popular degrees, and I'm not sure if the FBI agent has been here yet, but is coming in the next week or so. Okay, Friday.
Yeah.
We had someone here last Friday that was talking about investment banking opportunities. We have lots of federal government representatives coming in and explaining that very complicated process. They simplify it for you and give you that advantage, because there are lots of jobs in the federal government, but you have to know how to apply for them. And so there's been an online series, but we also bring them in person to help our students. And as we were saying, that's just in the last month. And so we continue these sorts of events throughout the academic year.
Well, one thing I want to share with people is why we do this, right? We're a public university in the state of Texas, and we do it because we really care about mobility and we care about students leaving college better than when they started. So Harvard did a study on equality of opportunity. So they basically looked and said, kids from the bottom fifth of the income distribution, how many of them went to the top 2/5 as adults? So that's pretty significant change. And UT Dallas is the 6th out of 123 colleges in Texas. So we are very proud of that. We have a track record going back of really helping our students launch and do very well professionally and financially, to making it a very good bet for them. They also created this thing called an overall mobility index. And UT Dale is 8th out of 25 highly selective public universities nationwide. So that really shows kind of measuring both access and outcomes, and just shows the likelihood that a UT Dallas alum moved up more than 2 income quintile, so more than 2/5. So we're really proud of that. That comes from researchers who aren't affiliated with our institution. We see it every day with cases of students really coming and doing well and succeeding. We do have a lot of first generation students. My parents went to college, they didn't graduate college. So I know firsthand what that can do for someone when they finish that degree and start as a proud graduate. And it really does pay off. And it's nice to see Harvard researchers actually document it and show how well we do compared to other universities in the state. So we're very proud of that. And along the way, we have some other special programs. We have a peer advising program. We understand, and I understand this as a parent. Students don't necessarily want to talk to the professor or the advisor right away. They'd rather talk to someone their own age who's a little closer to the experience. So we have some specially trained peer advisors who we have. They're almost always in the building. You can pop in. They complement the work of the advisors. We have extremely accessible advisors. And I will say we have a gem of advising. One of our advisors just won a major award, which I'm not supposed to mention yet. But
yeah, actually, it's okay to mention it. Now she knows. Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
so
it's
she's
public.
Advisor of the Year. I'm so excited about it. Our advisors care so much about the students, but students can get in to see our advisors. And that's, we don't have the problem that some other schools where kids can't get in to see their advisors. Our advisors are very accessible. They can meet in person. They can meet on Teams. So there are a lot of options in the peer advisors. So that's a very good advising system. We have a leadership program. I actually teach a leadership class. We have a Dean Student Advisory Committee, and we're really looking for keeping in touch with our students to see what can we do better? What do students want today? Because the college experience today is not what it was 5-10 years ago. So we're constantly trying to listen and meet the needs and desires of the students of today.
And I guess this is my turn to talk about study abroad here. It's bringing back such good memories of being in Paris last year at Sacré-Cœur. And, we really value the opportunities that students have to travel abroad with faculty and with your classmates. So we've really been growing our study abroad program. This summer, I'll be going back to France. This time it's Toulouse because Paris is hosting the Summer Olympics, and we thought that might get a little bit too crazy and way too expensive. But Toulouse is in the south of France. I'll be there along with a colleague who's teaching a civil liberties class, which is great for students going to law school. We have colleagues, Ted Benavides, who the dean mentioned earlier, will be teaching in Lugano, Switzerland. We have our associate dean is going all the way down under to Australia and more. There are programs literally all over the world, and they're subsidized for our students so that if you do, for example, we have a May program in Paraguay, and that's for people interested in public health. And the fee for doing that is $1,000 for the 2-week program. But guess what? We have very generous scholarships that will cover that program fee. So not only is it affordable, when you think about spending, well, in my case, a month in France, that program fee is $1,500, but my students can qualify, or our students, for as much as $2,000 in scholarships. It's called the International Education Fund. So we're really encouraging our students to take that opportunity to study abroad if they are able. And the next slide speaks to what we're doing, knowing that not everybody can travel abroad, either due to family commitments, job commitments. Some people are like, I have rent to pay. And so we're also really promoting a type of learning known as collaborative online international learning, or COIL. And what this means is that some of your professors here in our school will give you an assignment and you'll complete it with students in another country. So let me explain by giving this example with Dr. Panofska, who's pictured here, economics professor, who basically gave her students a project to complete with students who are in Germany at the University of Marburg. Well, thanks to technology, they can meet, they can trade their data, they can create their analysis, and in the process, learn those digital literacy skills, intercultural competence, and just cultural awareness that is so important in this interconnected world. And I thought what was really cool about Dr. Panofska's project is that it is with one of our partners. We have a dual degree with the University of Marburg. So what better way to decide, do you want to go study in Germany and get that dual degree? Well, you can try out a virtual program first, learn about it, and then potentially go from there. So we've had 50 of these projects since 2020 across the university. But just as in other areas that we've mentioned, EPPS is really a leader in these COIL projects. So lots of opportunities to either literally go abroad, travel, or what we call internationalization at home. And I think with that, we need to go back to our questions because we've been doing a lot of talking here. And I see that we got a question related to undergraduate research, and can students participate in research while they're here as undergraduates?
Absolutely. I think the classic way is ask your faculty members, are they working on anything you can participate in? But actually, in about a month, we're going to launch a new North Texas quality of life initiative that is going to generate so much data for students to be working on. So we're going to have policy labs where students can dig into crime issues in the region. So we have Denton County, Tarrant County, Collin County, and Dallas County split into two. You'll be able to compare how's crime in North from South Dallas, how's it compare to Collin? What about other transportation issues or access to parks? All sorts of issues that we just basic quality of life, quality of education, and some other rotating topics of interest. Had we done this during COVID, we would have asked something about COVID. But as things progress, we'll add some other questions. But this is going to generate so much data. We'll have a whole dashboard where you can look at the perception next to the reality of some objective indicators. There's going to be so much work to do that absolutely students are going to be involved in. So I'm really excited to launch the policy labs that are going to be digging into these data next year. So there's the classic ones of work with your faculty member who's working on an interesting research project, and we're going to have school level opportunities for students of all our backgrounds to dig into it, but with interdisciplinary teams onto these really interesting data.
Yeah, and there's also funding in some cases for undergraduates who apply for a special program. I know I'm part of that committee where faculty will sponsor a student to do research, and then they'll receive a stipend for carrying out that research. So speaking of money, there is a question about how hard is it to get internships? So do you want to take that one, Dean Holmes?
Sure. I mean, I think students do internships. We've got dozens of students every semester working on internships, something we're always working on to expand. I know a lot of the criminology faculty have really prioritized more community partnerships and internships. I'm actually going to be down with the Dallas County Commissioners next month and working out some other opportunities for students. P&M, they are constantly working with our city partners, City of Plano, City of Faith, all these local governments to create opportunities, whether it's the fire department or other parts of city government. It's endless. Of course, econ has all the contacts with the local businesses. Poli-sci, I mean, there's endless. So lots of internships, most of them paid. And then we do have some other programs to support students who want to do an internship that's unpaid. And we do have a few stipends to support students who want to do that, but still need to pay the bills. So lots of opportunities, and we're just adding to them every year.
And I think that before we go, we should also mention the Archer Fellowship, which is in Washington, D.C. And I have the privilege of interviewing students who are applying to go to Washington to both study and work. And so this is a UT system program, and UT Dallas always gets a fair share of slots. And some of our best and brightest students will spend a semester in Washington, D.C. as undergraduates. And then, you know, if you don't get in as an undergraduate, but you decide to fast track and you become a graduate student, you have a second opportunity to both work and study in Washington, D.C. And that is just for UT system schools. So it's not like you're competing with everyone else in the nation. We have our allotted slots for that. And it's an extraordinary opportunity to work for, I mean, it almost seems like I'm making it up sometimes when I say you can work at the Supreme Court or
Every
Capitol
year.
Hill. And yeah, absolutely. And then those are the students that we see at some of the amazing institutions for law school or other graduate work. So lots of opportunities. We want you to come and take advantage, travel the world, go to DC. You know, yes, your classes matter, and you have some of the best teachers in the UT system, some of the best professors in the classroom, but we also want you to get out there and do things. And one of the ways to find out what's going on now and in the future is to follow us on social media. So we're at UTD EPPS on all the channels on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We want you on LinkedIn. We will be posting this video on our YouTube channel, and you can just use the QR code if you want to maybe let your parents watch parts of this or whatever works for you. But do follow us on social media because we're very active there. So any final thoughts, Dean Holmes?
Absolutely. Since you mentioned Archer, I want to tell students about a new initiative that's starting next year. So the Archer is DC based, but we have a new program just for UT Dallas that's going to be state and local based. So very similar, but another effort to increase local opportunities of internships in all major sectors. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and it's just starting up. So it's an exciting time to start at UT Dallas, that's for sure.
It definitely is. So if you've decided you're coming here, go ahead and register for orientation if you haven't yet. And you've received plenty of emails from me about this event, so please don't hesitate to write back, text, and just continue to ask your questions after we say goodbye. So we look forward to seeing many of you here this summer for orientation.
And we'll see you on campus next fall.